What is good, everybody? It's your boy Jay in the building. We're back again with another video. Alright, man, so before we kick things off, man, I do want to say this. Shout out to Coach Prime and all that he's been doing for Jackson State so far, man. Like, them building a new... We're going to start off with a new locker room. A brand spanking new locker room. Them adding things to, to their facility, and what Coach Prime has been doing on the yard at Jackson State has been absolutely phenomenal. Even with their off-season moves in the roster, with them getting Travis Hunter, you're getting Kevin Coleman, the amount of transfers that they've gotten and legit players, and even with the loss of James Houston and Antoine Owens, and a few of those guys, I still believe that Jackson State is going to be a better team this year than last year, simply just because of the moves that they made, with them revamping their offensive line. I think they're going to have an entirely new offensive line, starters. They fixed their kicking game. They done got two new kickers, one who's a five-star kicker, and another who was one of the best Division II kickers last season, and with them getting, a few running backs, one of them being one of the best running backs in the MEAC, I do believe that Jackson State done fixed a lot of their problems and a lot of the troubles that they had last year, even, during at the start of games where games was a lot closer than where it should have been. I think Jackson State fixed all that in a matter of 4 or 5 months. And we are definitely about to see what happens when Coach Prime has everything that he wants in the team. And with that being said, man, this goes to my expectations with Jackson State this year. I don't expect nothing less than a trip to the Celebration Bowl, than a trip back to the Celebration Bowl. Me personally, I don't expect nothing less than that. I don't know if I would say an undefeated season just yet, and I'm going to talk about that, but my expectations for Jackson State is nothing less than the trip back to the Celebration Bowl. I'm going to be honest. Even though like they do have a few teams in the SWAC on their schedule that's going to be pretty tough, starting with FAMU, their first game of the season, in which I believe that game right there is going to decide their season on where I believe it's going to go. Because if one of those teams loses, they're gonna have to rely on the other to lose at least 2 games for them to catch up. But me personally, I don't see FAMU losing more than 2 games in the SWAC. I don't see Jackson State losing more than 1 game in the SWAC. So one of those teams have to lose, but that's the game that's going to really tell the tale of Jackson State's story. And then in the next 2 games, Tennessee State and Grambling. With Tennessee State, I think Tennessee State is going to bring it. Especially with the move that Coach Eddie George has been making, dog. Like he's been making moves quietly, and with him playing Ohio State, or I think Notre Dame. They're playing Notre Dame next year, and they're in talks with them playing North Dakota State. I think for a home series in 2025 and 26. So that's gonna be pretty dope. So that game is gonna that game between them and Jackson State is gonna be absolutely crazy. And with Grambling State, man, look, I already told y'all, I have Grambling State being in the top 2 teams in the West Division. Nobody else has them there, but I do believe Grambling State is gonna give them all they got, especially for Jackson State's first home game. Like, that place is gonna be extremely loud. I get a chance to experience that for the first time, so that's gonna be absolutely dope, man. But Jackson State's schedule is pretty tough. They have Southern at home. They got Alcorn State at Alcorn. They have Alabama A&M, and they have Campbell for homecoming. Now, Campbell ain't gonna be no slouch. I know that. I think from what I saw, between A&T and Campbell, those are the top two teams in their conference, in the Big South Conference. And with Campbell having the second best recruiting class in the FCS, I believe Jackson State and Campbell is going to be a real good game as well, man. But like I said, I don't expect nothing less than a trip back to the Celebration Bowl with Jackson State. I think me personally, I think everybody is at least a year behind with this whole recruiting process and how much Jackson State has recruited. Like, I think they have the best receiving core in the SWAC. They have the best quarterback in the SWAC. And with Shedeur Sanders being named the preseason SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. Matter of fact, Jackson State has 8 players that's preseason all-conference players, and 5 of them being first team. So, and then, hey, you know what's crazy? Travis Hunter didn't make the first or second team preseason all-conference in the SWAC, but he has third team preseason All-American. That's kind of crazy, but I don't know. But anyway, man. But yeah, man, Jackson State. I think Jackson State is under a lot of pressure to at least make it to the SWAC championship game. I wouldn't say Celebration Bowl. I'm gonna say to the SWAC championship game at least. Me personally, my expectations for Jackson State is a trip back to the Celebration Bowl. But in terms of how I think this season is gonna go, man. And especially with Jackson State being the hunted now, in which, look, this is going to be Coach Prime's second full season with Jackson State. It's going to be Travis Hunter's first year. Like, everybody is going to be looking to see what Travis Hunter is going to do. You know what I'm saying? I think to really pick it back on what I was saying, I think Jackson State has the best receiving core in the SWAC. I think they have the best quarterback in the SWAC. They have a really good running game on the way. They have a whole new slate of offensive linemen. I think they have the best secondary in the SWAC. At least the at starters, like with Nugget and Travis Hunter, we're gonna see a lot of man coverage. We're gonna see a lot of cover zero. We're gonna see a lot of jailbreak blitzes. We're gonna see a lot of that. So I think what teams are gonna try. What they are going to try and do, they're going to run a lot of screens to the running back. They're going to run a lot of fly routes at the slot. Because I don't think they're going to really target the outside as much just because Nugget and Travis Hunter is out there. But I do believe that they are going to try and attack the inside guys. They're going to try and attack the nickel guys. So they're gonna have to be aware of the fly routes from the inside. So I know Jackson State is gonna be ready for that, but like I said, man, I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is under a lot of pressure to do better than what he did last year, just because he's preseason Offensive Player of the Year, But and then them being ranked. I think number 15 preseason. I think there's gonna be a lot. Look, everybody is gonna give Jackson State their A game. Like, everybody is gonna come to play. And look, Jackson State is on that pedestal of, if you beat Jackson State, that's like your championship game. Like, and don't let Jackson State be on the road and they lose a road game. We might even see the fans hop in the middle of the field. We might see whoever beats Jackson State, their team, jump up in the middle of the field, and you're gonna hear a lot of trash talk. You're gonna hear a lot of trash talk on Twitter. So look, but that's the place that Jackson State is in now. Like, they're in where Alabama is now, like in the FCS. Like, if you beat Jackson State it is a party on the field and on Twitter. So they just gonna have to prepare themselves for that. And I think a lot of Jackson State fans kind of put the pressure on Jackson State to go undefeated as well. Just because I've seen it, like I've seen plenty of people, say that Jackson State is going undefeated. And mind you, they have the roster to do it. They have the schedule that it's not so dangerous enough that they can't do it, but they shouldn't sleep on anybody because anybody can be beat on any given Saturday. So I do want to say that Jackson State shouldn't be looking 1 game ahead or 3 games ahead. They shouldn't do that. Like, they should have their eyes on that specific team on that week because they can be beaten on any given Saturday. Especially with last year, they only beat FAMU by 1 point. They were down against Southern damn near the entire game up until the 4th quarter. Valley State made things interesting up until the 4th. Texas Southern made things interesting. Delta State almost came back and beat them. They were up 24-0 to a Division II team at home, and they almost came back and beat them. It took a goal line stand in the 4th quarter. I think that was the last play of the game for them to beat a Division II team. So, but those were the problems that they had last year, was that they just kept teams in the game that they should have wiped out, and mainly because Shedeur Sanders was under a lot of pressure all year last year. They gave up the most sacks in the SWAC, so they got that covered, and they missed out on a lot of points because there were a lot of missed PATs, missed field goals. They couldn't attempt the 40-yard and 50-yard field goals because they didn't have the kickers to do it, so, but I do hope that Jackson State is prepared to get everybody's best game, because it ain't going to be like last year. Everybody is going to want to beat Jackson State. So I just hope that Jackson State is prepared for that, and I do believe that it's going to be a good season for Jackson State. But like I said, I'm going to say this. Between Grambling, Alcorn, and Southern, in which they have all 3 of those guys on their schedule, they're going to see one of them again this season. In the SWAC championship, of course. They're going to see one of those teams again. So it's going to be interesting to see which team it is, which 3 of those teams go, because I don't see Pine Bluff, I don't see Prairie View doing anything this year. I'm being honest. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. And it's crazy because Prairie View, I said what I said about Prairie View and Grambling already. I said that. But I do believe that Jackson State is going to make things a lot interesting. I should be seeing a few blowouts. We should, but I think FAMU is going to make it interesting. I think Grambling State is going to make things interesting. I think Southern is going to make things interesting. Campbell, we'll see how they look. And I do believe Alcorn, especially with them being at home, I think they're going to make things interesting. So we're going to see what happens, man. And it's just going to be a crazy season for Jackson State. And I hope they ready, because they're going to get everybody's best game. I just hope they're ready for